on it. Either way, you heard what Adam said. There's a lot more to come there, certainly.
But they've lost 10 out of the last 13 games. So when you sit there and say, well, they're one of the best teams in the league, I don't know, being 3-10, that's kind of a stretch if you look at what's happened recently. They've got to play, better defense. They're still turning the ball over too much.
Swagger was like, that's a good call, Bill.
Good call, Bill. No ball, huh?
What is going on with that Philly offense right now?
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good in any respect. Jalen Hurts is not making throws he should make. They look out of sync. The head coach isn't on the same page. The offensive coordinator isn't on the same page. There are moments where it's 3-10 and they're running a 5-yard sprint out against cover 2, right? This is not playing into the strengths that are Jalen Hurts. Now, look, there was no Smith. There was no A.J. Brown, which is significant in their pass game. But even the plays that are easily executable, they look incredibly difficult for them to get on the same page with. And that is a symptom of bigger issues with this team offensively.
This is a poorly coached football team.
Absolutely. You see it everywhere.
They go in a game on the road without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They throw the football 7 of the first 9 plays. You wonder why you're down 21-0. First of all, the first snap of the game, this is called Hank. Hawk knows this concept.
Yep.
It's a sit in the middle of the field and then hook flats, okay? You always start over the middle of the field, always, and then work towards the squeeze. Why is Jalen Hurts working towards the left and then setting to the tight end instead of finding that curl? Look at his eyes. He's trying to hold the defender, then getting to the tight end. He's doing it reverse. So it's either he's doing it on his own or he's coached the improper way to operate a play that he has learned for 15 years of his NFL career. That's the first snap of the NFL game. Okay, the next drive, first down, drop, Dallas Goedert. I can't put that on anything other than missed execution, but let's go to the very next play. That's Vita Vea, Marcus. Would you turn to Vita Vea and double team him?
Buddy.
Philadelphia does it for some stupid reason.
Woo.
And then Vita Vea beats the right guard. That's coaching. That's not giving yourself a plan. Watch how slow this motion takes. Look at the defense having 5 seconds to communicate. Why are we even motioning? You're motioning to make sure that they can get better leverage inside out on a spot concept. All right, now Jalen, you got to play better. This is a play action pass screen. You got to. If you get that ball completed, it's probably going for 15. And then the third down one. This one drives me absolute bats. It's 4 verticals up top of the screen. If the receiver goes inside, you don't
Get
throw
off
it to
him.
him.
Get off him. Yes. I mean, you have the vision right to your receiver. He clearly gets jet. You have to come off. There's no version of that where it's a successful play.
So 7 of the 9 first snaps are passes. The quarterback does, in my opinion, the wrong thing on 2 of those 3 clips. It's either he's doing it and has been coached improperly, or he's not taking the coaching.
You are absolutely right. And 7 of the 9 first passes, plays on the pass, your best player in the backfield.
It's ridiculous.
Like beyond anything, your best player, Saquon Barkley, is in the backfield. Here's the other thing, Dan, and Hawk and Boogie. It's the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts bleeding over into football.
And you think
to Jalen's play?
100%, dude.
That makes sense.
And in the group chat, he looks slow. It don't look like he's enjoying playing the game at all. And we've all talked about Jalen being stoic and he never breaks. It looks like pain for him to play quarterback right now. Exactly, bro. And look, I'm not even talking about the press conference. This was something we were talking about week 1 of the NFL season, and it's bleeding over. It's a problem.
Okay, so first off, let's talk about this, but it's a little hard to see, so I want you to see at the bottom where you'll see in a second, where it says Jalen Hurts, 61 total QBR this season, 11th in the NFL, right? So he's not that awful considering how things are obviously not going according to plan. And missing A.J. Brown, Devontae, Lane Johnson, and also for the much of this game, your center, right? So down multiple linemen, your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, you're obviously going to be disconnected. I wholeheartedly agree, though, that they're poorly coached, right? And it is an interesting question to be like, is Jalen Hurts not taking direction, or is this bad coaching? And then the other question is some of these issues that they had in terms of this game plan. This is what's always confusing about Nick Sirianni. Is Nick Sirianni saying, this is what I want you to do, Kellen Moore? Or is Kellen Moore completely in charge of that offense? It's hard to say. A lot of people and a lot of deep Eagles fans are saying, no, connect the dots. This is Sirianni. This is Sirianni influencing the game plan and the offensive play calling, because this is what he did last year, and it's very similar. It's similar issues that happened last year as well. And then when you look at how Kellen Moore runs his offenses, this is not necessarily consistent in what we've seen him do, whether it be with whether we see it with the Chargers or even the Cowboys. And I'm a believer in Kellen Moore, so I do believe that this is more Sirianni than anything else. And it's just so crazy because when you look at the film and you look at just a few of the issues that Dan Orlovsky kind of highlighted, you're just like, these are basic elementary fixes. Like, so that's actually the big, massive silver lining, that this is actually one of those things where you're like, we could fix this very easily. We could fix this. This is all fixable things. And it's just like, that's why I'm a huge proponent of just getting Sirianni at this point out of the building, man. Like, seriously, like, let him go, right? And now you don't even need an elite offensive head coach, because even a defensive coach like Bill Belichick is going to look at that film and say, yo, Jalen, let's talk. We got to figure this out. And they will. I believe that Jalen Hurts is going to learn and grow because he's continued to get better in the NFL, and he continued to get better in college as well. So it's not like Jalen Hurts just doesn't listen. Jalen Hurts doesn't come into the league thinking that he's the best and doesn't, can improve. That there's zero evidence for that, right? So that's why then you do blame coaching. And if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, that should actually kind of excite you, because people are ready to bury the Eagles, ready to bury Jalen Hurts. They see he's not that good. He's just average, subpar. And that's just not the reality. Is he more dependent on a coordinator or an offensive mind than maybe, say, some of these other next level elite quarterbacks of both present and past? Probably, but there are worse things to happen. Josh Allen is very dependent on who is his coordinator as well. That's just the way how some quarterbacks are. Lamar Jackson, heck, even Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes has the luxury of having Andy Reid. So there's really not that many quarterbacks in the modern NFL that you could just say, they don't really need to have a great offensive mind, in their corner, right? Like I just don't ever really see that happening, quite frankly. So it makes sense why Jalen would also be struggling more, turning the ball over more than you would hope, and why he was so great with Shane Steichen. People keep trying to act like Jalen Hurts should just be able to overcome any of these issues. Oh, well, if you're a great quarterback, you overcome it. And it's just not accurate. It's really just not accurate. Is Justin Herbert able to overcome these issues? No. Has Matthew Stafford been able to overcome these issues? No. Has Patrick Mahomes been able to overcome these issues? No. Has Josh Allen? No. Lamar? No. Not a single quarterback has been able to overcome these issues. If everybody was 100% healthy and the coaching was locked and loaded, ready to go, and Jalen Hurts was doing this, then yes, absolutely disaster. Philadelphia Eagles, absolutely disaster. Move on from Jalen, move on from whoever, and, hit the reset button, right? That's not the case. We know when the situation is good and positive and you have the coaching and you have the roster in place, Jalen Hurts will thrive. He will lead that team to incredibly high levels, aka a Super Bowl, right? That's what we know is the potential. People keep saying that year was an outlier. No, it's not. It's just when the situation was correct. Stop pretending like these quarterbacks can just lead their teams to the Super Bowls when situations are not great. That just doesn't happen. And miss me with the nonsense. Everybody constantly wants to bring up the Kansas City Chiefs. Miss me with that nonsense. They had the best defense in the NFL, so just stop it. And then come time playoffs, suddenly a lot of their issues were no longer issues, like drop passes. Suddenly Travis Kelce decided to show up and play football, right? And Rashee Rice turned into a great elite top level wide receiver, as well as Pacheco turning into a great running back. And again, you have Andy Reid. So again, miss me with that nonsense. It's getting such a tiring thing. And people always ask, like, oh, you bring up the Chiefs a lot. And it's like, because you guys bring up the Chiefs all the time. Anytime if I make any type of video, if I'm talking about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, people say, well, the Chiefs did this, Patrick Mahomes did this. And it's like, you're misrepresenting what actually happened. But so with all of this, it's funny because if you're an Eagles fan and you're watching this, on one side you could be like frustrated, you could be like, what are they doing? What are they doing? On the other side, you're like, oh wow, that's actually cool. It shows that it's not that they're just not good enough. And Travis O'Shea, friend of the show, talked about, he watched the All-22 for the defense for the Eagles, and he was just like, a lot of people were just not in place. He goes, a lot of these plays, the defense was just not, they were just not in the right positions at the right time. And he was like, it could have just been a one-off game, or it's just, they're not practicing hard enough, poorly coached. And again, that all falls on Nick Sirianni. He is the head coach. So you don't blame Fangio for that. Like that is on Nick Sirianni, if that's the case. So that's another reason why get Sirianni out of there. It's not that this team is just inferior or they're just not good enough. It's that they have the team, they have the roster, they're ready to go, they have the culture, but they do not have the leader. They do not have the head coach. And so the more and more I look at this, the more and more I believe that Eagles fans should not only be optimistic, but they should be literally just calling your senator and writing letters and saying, get rid of Nick Sirianni. Get rid of him. Move on. Get another head coach. Do it now. People say, oh, well, then, it's never good to fire a coach midseason. It's not like what they do in basketball. Who cares? Do it. And you know what? It's worked actually well for other NFL teams where they moved on, got an interim coach, and that team was able to rally. Just go out and do it. Save this season. This team is obviously legit. The roster is obviously stacked. It's 2-2. Still can make the playoffs, can still win the division. It's still very early on in the season. Don't wait until it's too late. That should be the mantra. Don't wait until it's too late. I'm going to say it one more time. Don't wait until it's too late. That's just a mantra for anyone out there in their life, let alone this Philadelphia Eagles team. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Eagles? Do you think that they're in trouble? Do you think it's a coaching issue? Do you think it's a player issue? What do you think the situation actually is? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.